And we're going to open our meeting as we always do in prayer, because we definitely want divine help. I need all the divine help I can get, and we want it for our team too. We all want that help. So Daniel, could you go ahead and please lift up our meeting in prayer, please?
There we go. Now that I'm unmuted. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day and the opportunity that you've given each of us to live it. Just thank you for the ability to gather together this morning as a like-minded community to share and learn and to grow. And we just ask that you would be with each one of us, that we can listen and gain knowledge, but also especially be with each of the speakers as they teach and share their knowledge with us. Just thank you for the NeoLife company and all of the blessings that you've bestowed on us, Lord, just the abundant blessings in our lives. Just thank you and praise you. In Jesus' holy and precious name, amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Daniel. And Daniel, just a quick note about him. This month, he was #1 again for group volume. He did over 20, almost just 1 point short of 23,000, you guys. So
Wow.
That's a big month, I'm telling you. So anyway, thank you for that prayer, Daniel. I appreciate that very much. I've got a few announcements, and then we'll have wins. And our first win will be from Lisa down in Mexico. She has just mind-blowing advancement, tremendous rank advancement. But I'll give you a few announcements just here. And by the way, I want to welcome Josh Fiegels. Josh, is your mic on?
Yeah. Good morning,
Okay.
Everybody.
Is Bethany with you too? Or is it
Yes.
just you?
Yeah, we're both here.
Okay, good. So I want to welcome Josh and Bethany. This is their first time on this call, and they're a remarkably entrepreneurial couple, business-minded, homeschooling, wonderful family. I've been friends with Bethany's dad for about 40 years, and maybe more like 42 or 43. And he went to a Louis Smith Bald Eagle event with me probably about 2 months ago. And Josh, that's on with his wife Bethany, is coming to convention with his father-in-law. So we're very glad, and we welcome Josh and Bethany. And
thank you. Can't wait for convention.
What's that?
I can't wait for the convention. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, it is going to be awesome. So welcome, you guys. And here's a few announcements we have, just a few. For those of us that are going to be at convention, it looks like we'll have around 25, somewhere in there. And Friday night, just you can mark this down, the 29th at convention at 7:30, we will have a team meeting. And you know, I'll email you guys it's Friday night at 7:30. I'll email you the room location, but we'll be getting together there. And then 3 other brief announcements. Every Wednesday at 5:30, we have a team call. It'll be 30 minutes every Wednesday, 5:30 West Coast time. And please write this down. The ID for that call, Zoom ID, is 963-644-1807, and the password is ATP. And the topic is usually business training, but sometimes product training. So I'll say that one more time, because the same number will be used today at 11 for a product training. This meeting goes typically 9 to 10:30. Normally it's the first Saturday of every month, but this month we changed it because 4th of July was last weekend. So today at 11, we'll have some product training, 963-644-1807, and password ATP. Then the next Breakfast of Champions, which is what this meeting is called, is August 6th, which is the normal time. It's the first Saturday of the month. So I think that's all for announcements. And Lisa, can you and anybody else please share any wins from this past month? But Lisa has a mind-blowing Just tremendous achievement and accomplishment. You want to tell us, Lisa, please?
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, you have to be quiet while I'm talking. So my win for this past month is, well, I didn't know about it until I got an email in my inbox, and it said that I had become a Sapphire director, and I was just blown. I was sitting there looking at my emails. I was like, what? And I know I had been qualifying at the director level, off and on over the months, but I wasn't keeping track of what was required for rank advancement. And yeah, so that happened last month, and I'm just really grateful and surprised and excited and thankful to my team who helped make that happen. So team in the US as well as here in Mexico, where I'm currently living.
Now that is a big achievement. It's very elite exclusive to be on the world team. And well, there's three huge benefits. One is very nice car allowances, very, very nice car allowances. They go up as high as $1,000. You can get that high even without being on world team, but a lot of people, the car allowance gets bigger when they get on world team. So that's one thing. Another thing is that Lisa and her husband are invited to Punta Cana, Dominican Republic for the world team annual event in Dominican Republic. And the company never takes us to Motel 6, and they never give us beanie weenies and top ramen. I mean, it is like a world-class resort, which Lisa's sister, Gina, won that a few years ago, and her husband were flown to the Hyatt Regency Maui. Beautiful, all expense paid. It's really fun. Leslie has had tons of those trips. Barbara's had several of those trips. John and Debbie got invited about 2 years ago, and I was fortunate. Deb ended up not going, so I was fortunate. I got to room with John at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples. It's one of the nicest beaches in the nation. So being on world team has some great benefits. A third benefit of being on there is sometimes they'll have meetings with our CEO and sometimes the CFO and VP just for world team members. We get great information. And at the world team events at Punta Cana, which Barbara, of course, is invited to, and John and Debbie are, Leslie is, you get to hang out with some very high achievers. It can be very fun. You get to play with them on the beach, have meals with them, dinners. So you can get great ideas from other world team members. So that's a very nice thing. So Lisa, we congratulate you. That's just huge. That is just huge. And are you looking forward to Punta Cana, the world-class all-inclusive resort?
Well, I will do my best to be there. Part of it depends on being able to get his passport in time, because he's just 2.5 months old, and so we're waiting for the embassy on that.
Okay.
But it would be wonderful to be able to be there.
Yes.
Bob?
Lisa is in a good NeoLife family. Her mom, who's on this call, Leslie, her and her dad is now in heaven, but Lisa's parents won #1 world team at Seattle Convention and had all expense paid to Cabo San Lucas, beautiful resort. And
so Bob, there's one thing, sorry to interrupt, but one thing I want to add that I think would be an encouragement to people is that most of this volume is coming from work that I did 4 to 12 years ago.
Okay.
So it is complete residual. I work in the business probably half hour a week on average now.
Yeah.
I
So
have
not
to-
even an hour a day, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
So I
if
just
you
wanted to add that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I thought people should know that.
that's a very good point. Very good point. So Lisa has a sister who has been world team. Her brother is outstanding that Daniel opened in prayer today. So she's comes from a great NeoLife family, that's for sure. So who else has a win they'd like to share?
I will, Bob.
Okay, Les.
this is kind of, I think I would call this a residual win. Something Lisa, as you and Lisa were talking, I remembered last year in Cancun at World Team, being down on the beach with Kendra, and they had set up a volleyball game, cornhole, and one other
Ring toss or
Ring toss.
horseshoes or something.
So we got in 3 teams and we were rotating. And since Daniel and Lisa were both with me there, I just sat down on the water's edge, played with the 2 little boys, and they went and played volleyball. I mean, I played volleyball first too, but then us ladies started talking to Kendra, and Josh's mom, Marjorie Clark, asked, tell us about, what's that? Supply chain issues. And it was so exciting to hear Kendra say, we own the manufacturing plant. And if there's lack of raw materials, our products get made first over, because they make products for other people too.
Right, right.
And she said that when we ran out of vitamin C a couple of years ago, well, it's been a couple of years now. She said, I don't think that'll ever happen again. Kind of, they just, the amount of C being sold went up like 500% or something. And it was just, I thought the owner, well, not the owner, the CEO of the company is telling us that she's making sure that our products get, the first attention of everything made by that manufacturing plant. And it was that I was happy to be there just to have that conversation.
Thank you, Les. Anybody else? 30 seconds or a 30-second win that they can share. Okay, well then we're just so excited for Lisa's rank advancement, and it is remarkable. She's a mother of, is it Lisa, is it 2 or 3? 3. Okay. So that she, residual income, homemaker, mom, paying attention to her family, high priority, can still have get huge checks, big checks, and based on work she's done in the past, residual income, and doesn't have to have a massive grinding time investment. So that's very nice. Well, our first speaker today is Marina Irish, and Marina is a senior manager. She's one of the most delightful people you could ever meet. And she's outstanding in every way. She's highly intelligent, and she has an amazing testimony. She's going to share her testimony with us, and then she'll cover products that help for female health. So let's welcome Marina with a big hand, warm hand. Thank you, Marina.
Hi, thank you. Thank you so much for letting me share. I'm Marina Irish, and I'm 26 years old. I live in Eugene, actually outside Eugene, Oregon, with my family, kind of halfway between here in Tennessee now that we're moving that direction. I have 2 kitties, and I teach art online. And today I want to share my story with you, and then share why NeoLife is so different than any other products that I've used. And then I'll finish up with some stories from other women as well, who have also experienced some great results using these same products. So here's my story first. So for about 10 years, I suffered with extreme female pain during my cycle throughout my teens and my 20s. So much so that I lost time at school. I had to take days off work. I missed birthday parties, activities, all the important events, because I was just at home in excruciating pain. So the women in my family have a history of female issues like infertility, endometriosis, lots of those things. In fact, my mom's female health was pretty much the worst in her family. But when I started to have issues that were similar, she said mine was even worse than hers had ever been. So pretty bad. During a typical monthly cycle, I would have 2 to 3 days of severe cramps that would keep me in bed with like heating pads and weights the whole time. I would often get faint and dizzy and just be unable to eat because of nausea and frequently lose whatever lunch I had tried to eat. And on top of that, throughout the month, if I ran or worked out, even if I didn't work out very hard, sometimes my body would just get thrown into full-blown cramps and cold sweats, and I would nearly pass out. And the worst part was, it's not really the kind of health problem that I like to share about. Kind of embarrassing. So it got to be pretty hard to tell my professors again and again and my bosses why I was getting sick so often. So, that just got overwhelming. And by the time I was 20, I felt this completely frustrated, utterly defeated. It kind of hit me all at once. I thought, I have a chronic health problem. Wait, this is me. I have a chronic issue and this is my life, and I'm just going to have to live like this for the rest of my life. And as I got older, I became really concerned that there might be a bigger issue going on. So when I was a young adult, my mom was like, we've got to go schedule you an appointment with a gynecologist. And at this point, I'd already been to several doctors. They tried to put me on birth control and painkillers and all that stuff. So I was super hesitant to go. I was like, they're not going to figure out what's going on, and they'll just want to give me Motrin and send me home. But I was concerned something was wrong. So I went ahead and went to the appointment and discussed my symptoms with the doctor. And I even had a really thorough ultrasound. And at the end of the appointment, the doctor came in, no kidding. She said, there's nothing wrong with you. You probably just have a little bit of gas bubbles. And then she wrote me a prescription for Motrin and sent me home. And needless to say, I did not fill that prescription. And that was about 8 years ago. And at that point, I decided to cut out any medicinal options for female health, painkillers and all of that, because I knew taking the meds barely made a difference anyway. It did not make a dent in the pain. At that point, not even painkillers were making any difference. And since the doctors couldn't give me any answers, I started looking for alternative, like natural options. So I was already taking various supplements, but I started really looking for ones addressing female health. So I had just a list of things. I tried herbs, tinctures, juices, essential oils, like internally, externally, vitamins, shake powders, homeopathic remedies. I had topical gels that I could put on, teas. I even changed my diet, dairy and gluten and all of that. I did physical therapy and more. But some of the things would have a calming effect at best, but nothing made a dent in the pain. So I still didn't really talk about my symptoms at this point because I was just embarrassed that I had to deal with this. But the reason I'm telling you today, and thank you, Bob, for challenging me to share, is because I found something that just so dramatically changed my life completely that now I'm just on a mission to share it with any women I know who might be suffering like I was. And I found out when I started to feel better and shared it with other women, it was like every other woman I talked to had something severe going on with her female health. So I think it's really important. So a few years ago, our friend Leslie Hansen was actually talking to Mom, who shared a little of what was going on with me that week. And she recommended I talk to Lisa, her daughter. And so glad she's on today. That day, she recommended a few products for me to try. And at this point, like I said, I tried everything. So I didn't expect to see any difference. I believed in natural products, but I was really skeptical because I'd never had any kind of result really at all. But I knew from the quality of the products and just from the kind of research that Miss Leslie does and all of that, I knew they couldn't hurt me and they'd probably be doing something good. But that day, I pulled out of some of the most horrendous cramps in less than an hour, and they didn't come back. And that's when I knew, okay, something must be different about these supplements. So over the next year or two, I started experimenting every month with different amounts of CalMag, salmon oil, and Trianin, which are the products that Lisa recommended during my cycle, and then also throughout the month. And gradually, my cycles improved dramatically. My severe pain went from 3 days in bed to 1 day with tolerable cramps. And I didn't notice any cramping if I worked out throughout the month, which was totally wild to me because I had to be careful about that. And then about a year and a half ago, because I was doing so well, Bob asked me to share my story back then. And he also gave me some information on vitamin E. He said, here's some research and also on female health to share. So I read through all that, and somehow I shared all that information and then completely just deleted it from my brain and didn't remember it, completely forgot. And a month or so later, I saw the vitamin E in our cabinet that we already had. And I was like, wait a second, vitamin E, what am I doing? Why am I not taking that? So I added that into my daily regimen. And that was like total game changer completely. So I think in March of 2021, I wrote a note to Bob, and I went back and found it so I could read it to you. I wanted to thank him for that information. And here's what I actually said. For the last 2 weeks, I've been taking vitamin E, about 4 a day, to improve my female health. I also brought up my CalMag up to 10 a day again. And the only other item I've been using is the breakfast pack. I've been doing that alongside my fitness challenge. So mind you, I'm working out as well every day. This is more than I would normally share, but I wanted to thank you for the vitamin E info, because I'm happy to report that I had almost 0 cramping pain this month. I was only a little bit nauseous, and I was able to keep that at bay with some good food in my stomach, also with protein. And I had almost no pain, just a little pressure, no fatigue, no lightheadedness, no throwing up, minimal bloating. My blood sugar didn't drop, which was a big issue. I didn't use a heating pad or weight to alleviate any pain. And I even forgot, I just forgot to use the other non-NeoLife products that I would normally grab for, which would include like cramp bark, essential oils, and some homeopathic products I had. And those are all symptoms I have on a regular basis, or had on a regular basis for at least 1 day. And before NeoLife, I would have had those symptoms for 2 to 3 days. So that was the actual message I sent. But nowadays, in a typical month, I don't have to lie down or take a nap. I take about 4 doses throughout the day of vitamin E, and 10 CalMag, and a few of the other products like salmon oil and treonine. I'll bump those up a little bit. And as a result, I'm comfortable throughout the month and on my cycle. And I really didn't think E would make a difference for pain, but it must have been for my health, the missing factor. So this year, my life has just looked completely different. I no longer have to plan my whole life and my schedule around pain, potential pain. And on days when I would normally be just completely down for the count, I'm able to live a normal life. I've even gone hiking and ice skating and played sports and gone skiing and more things like that on a day when I would normally be in bed. So I honestly did not know that my life could ever be like that. So I'm really grateful to my friends who shared NeoLife with me. It's completely changed my life and given me hope for my own future, but also for my future children. And any girls who might be born who won't have to inherit female issues. And it's made me really excited to share my story with other women and friends of mine, and just show them that there's a much better way through this superior nutrition. So that's my story. I literally experienced the NeoLife difference firsthand, but that was before I really understood the overwhelming science that's behind these products. And so now I'm just going to share with you kind of a snapshot of some of the research that's been done by people that are way smarter than me. So I'm going to be sharing a little bit of that information. And these are just some of the reasons why these products are so different from anything else I'd tried and anything else you will find on the market. So the first one I want to share about is CalMag, which made the biggest difference for me for pain. CalMag is considered a natural painkiller. It is also, or a natural tranquilizer. It tends to calm the nerves. Here's some things it's good for: insomnia, high blood pressure, arthritis, backache. And if you have a calcium deficiency, you can have things like heart palpitations, irregular heartbeat, cramps, poor bone health, excessive irritability of nerves and muscles. You can have growing pains, joint pains, tooth decay, osteoporosis, leg aches, and menstrual problems. And so here's a few unique things that make NeoLife different and different from any of the other companies. Their CalMag has vitamin D to enhance absorption, and also magnesium to enhance absorption. It has something called a double amino acid chelate, which can yield up to 6 times the absorption rate of non-chelated materials. And this just dramatically increases the benefits and the value of the product. I also want to talk about salmon oil and why omega-3 is so important, specifically for pregnancy. I didn't talk about that with my story, but here's some things that make omega-3s really, really important during pregnancy. This says omega-3s have been found to be essential for both neurological and visual development of the baby. However, the standardized Western diet is severely deficient in these critical nutrients. So this omega-3 dietary deficiency is compounded by the fact that pregnant women become depleted in omega-3s when the baby uses their omega-3s for its nervous system development. So, and that's also, omega-3s are also used after birth to make breast milk. So with each subsequent pregnancy, mothers are further and further depleted. And research has confirmed that adding EPA and DHA to the diet of a pregnant woman has a positive effect on the visual and cognitive development of the baby. And studies have also shown that higher consumption of omega-3s may reduce the risk of allergies in infants. So omega-3 fatty acids have a positive effect on the pregnancy itself, and increased intake of EPA and DHA has been shown to prevent preterm labor and delivery and lower the risk of preeclampsia, which is an issue my mom had, and may also increase birth weight. So, a deficiency in omega-3 can increase the mother's risk for depression. However, even though we know all of that, the average pregnant woman consumes only 14% of the recommended levels of DHA and EPA to support her developing child and her child's brain and eye development. And many prenatal vitamins do not even include omega-3s. So super, super important, a nutrient that's just kind of lacking. So here's why NeoLife salmon oil is so different from other brands. There's 4 main reasons, and I'll just share those really quickly. The first one is that it's from a human food chain source. So unlike other companies who use krill oil, which is food for beluga whales, NeoLife doesn't use that. We use sources such as salmon, which have a proven history of safe use in humans. Nobody really knows what's going to happen to a human who eats krill over a long period of time because we have never done that before. So NeoLife doesn't like to experiment on their customers, and they like to use products and ingredients that are normally consumed by humans. So the second thing is they have dramatically superior potency, and this you can really feel. Studies done at the very prestigious Tufts University on 10 major brands of fish oil revealed that they averaged only about 38% of the labeled claims. So whatever the label said, they only had about 38% of what was claimed on the label. And when the same tests were run by an independent laboratory on NeoLife products, they tested samples that were up to 2 years old that had been just sitting around, not brand new samples. And some of the samples, and all of the samples showed 100% of the labeled claim, and some of them actually showed 150% of whatever the label claimed, because NeoLife likes to put more in the product than the label amount to make sure that their customers get superior value for their dollar, and obviously more health protection as well. So you get what you pay for at the minimum, and very likely more than what you pay for from NeoLife. The third thing is that the NeoLife salmon oil has all 8 omega-3s, which is really unique. Salmon oil plus contains the standardized amount of all 8 naturally occurring omega-3s, which allows all members of the omega-3 family to work together. And most omega-3 products that you pick up off the shelf only provide 2 of the 8 of the family. And then lastly, the fourth thing is NeoLife products are purer and safer than anything else you'll find, because they're tested. This product is tested for over 200 potential contaminants with an allowable detection rate of 0. So there's an industry standard that allows us some percentage of contaminants if they test it. And this one, NeoLife products are not allowed to even have that percentage. It has to be 0. So really, really pure. So that's 2 of the products. The last one I want to share about is vitamin E. Obviously, it has been my game changer. So I want to share a little bit about why it helps with female health and some of the things it can help with. So according to the Nutrition Almanac of Nutrition Science and the Journal of American College of Nutrition, vitamin E can help with infertility and miscarriage. It can also help with premature births that don't carry to full term, PMS, and it can help if a menstrual rhythm is off, or a flow is too heavy or too light or too prolonged. It can help with things like fibrocystic breast disease or breast lumps, which is another thing that runs in my family. menstrual irregularity, hot flashes, and breast tenderness. And low levels of vitamin E are associated with higher rates of breast cancer. So that's the NeoLife difference and why these products made such an impact on my health. But I want to leave you with a couple of stories from other women who also had dramatic results using these products in a couple of other areas. So the first one is Crystal Hancock, who was a nursing student. And she said, I've battled with PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, and endometriosis since she was in her early 20s. She said the hemorrhaging, pain, migraines, and infertility issues would have been, were just unbearable at times. It was recommended that I should have a hysterectomy at the young age of 29, and after multiple rounds of hormone replacement therapy that didn't work. She says, I became angry, frustrated, and extremely discouraged. I can relate. She says, I gave in to trying NeoLife. It has made all the difference in the world for me. I have not had a hysterectomy, and my cycles have regulated. I am on no prescription meds, and I'm proud to say that I feel the best I have ever felt. So that was Crystal. The next person is Jay Watson. She says, in my late 20s, and notice how young these people are. It's just crazy. If you can get a jump on it when you're young, it's amazing. It could be so much better for the rest of their life. Anyway, so she says, in my late 20s, I started to experience perimenopausal symptoms such as hot flashes, night sweats, trouble concentrating, and difficulty sleeping. And she says she couldn't deal with them any longer. So she started taking hormone replacement therapy, which is abbreviated HRT, with estrogen and progesterone. 4 years after being on HRT, her doctor recommended that she go off it because it has horrible long-term side effects. And at the time, she advised him, I would be a wreck without it, and presently needed it to live day by day. And she'd already tried everything the health food and health books and store had to recommend, with no luck. Sounds familiar. And then she was introduced to NeoLife, but was very skeptical. Within 6 months of taking NeoLife, she was off hormone replacement therapy. Her previous symptoms have not come back, and she says, I am 37 years old and I couldn't be more pleased. I just love hearing that. I have 2 more stories and then I'll be good. Tony Robertson's niece was visiting him and his wife from out of town. And after a few days, she felt comfortable enough to share a personal problem with them. She was only 23 and her cycle had stopped completely for a few years, not for a couple of months, for like years. So Tony gave her a bottle of Trianen and from NeoLife, and he told her to take 3 at every meal. 10 days later, her cycle started up again. Isn't that amazing? I just think that's unbelievable. I'm just, wow. I didn't really get to talk about Trianen as much, but that product has been extremely helpful for me as well. And one other product I didn't specifically talk about is the breakfast pack, but I never go without this. And this last story will kind of illustrate why that product can be so critical. So this is about Sabrina. She was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS, and she had some blood work done and her inflammation level was at 10.2, which if you know anything about inflammation, high inflammation is really bad for the body. And it accelerates aging and it underlies nearly every disease, including cancer and Alzheimer's. So they had worked very, very hard for a year with her endocrinologist, working on her nutrition and on their diet and exercise, trying to get her inflammation levels down to fight the PCOS. In spite of all of those diligent efforts, however, including diet changes and exercise, they could not get her inflammation to drop. Her inflammation showed, in fact, persistently high every time they tested her blood. So no matter how diligent they were, they could not get her inflammation to decrease in the least. Then they started on the breakfast pack. And 2.5 months later, her CRP, which stands for C-reactive protein level, went down to 5.3, which was cut in half, 50%. And then on top of that, her acne cleared up, which is really nice. She said she feels better and her skin is glowing. So those are just a few of many, many stories actually of women like me whose lives have been completely changed, turned around by giving the body what God knows it needs to take care of itself. And I just want to say, if there's a woman that you know who suffers from any kind of female health problem, be kind enough to share this information with her, because or ask the person who invited you to help share it with them, because it could seriously be the hope that that person has been praying for. And I prayed for years for a solution to my health struggles. So I will always be grateful for the people who shared it with me and for the friends that I have who were kind enough to do that. So that's all I have. But thank you so much, Bob, for having me share. I'll give it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Marina. That was absolutely outstanding as usual. Thank you so very, very, very much. We're happy this is being recorded, because then everyone in the team, you can go to our website, not our website, but our YouTube channel, and this will be up. Daniel usually has it up there within the recording within 2, 3, 4 days, depends on his schedule. So next week, I think this will be available. So thank you, Marina. Absolutely outstanding. And we are excited for the change in your life. That's very, very nice to be able to feel good and not be sidelined for a few days. And Sabrina, that you mentioned, is a personal friend of mine. Very, very pretty woman. Her and her husband are dear friends. And, you know, for her inflammation, the doctor was completely unable to do anything, even the endocrinologist, and just with breakfast pack, it dropped in half. Do you remember the timing? Was it 30 or 60 days? Do you remember what it was? I think it was pretty quick. Okay, it was in a short period to drop in half just with the breakfast pack. Very exciting. So thank you, Marina. Okay, now we're going to go to Leslie. Has a lot of expertise. This won't be long, but because I just asked her this morning if she might do a little follow-up here, because Leslie has a lot of experience in female health as well. So Les was going to elaborate a little bit more, just 5-6 minutes, and she's very knowledgeable. She's an excellent product trainer. She's got one of the biggest teams within our team, and so let's welcome Leslie Hansen.
Thank you. Yeah, that was awesome, Marina. I just pictured you scouring all the Facebook pages with all the testimonies to get that information, and you found some really good ones. So we've got so many wonderful resources available to us. So I just wanted to also point out that Marina and our daughter Teresa, who are averaging about 1,000 PV a month, they're both in Lisa's team. So those two are contributed to her being able to reach Sapphire. So anyway, yeah, one of the things that I wanted to add a little bit on is one of the worries when people are pregnant, and you know, I think we've all thought this, or people have said this to us, when you talk about having a big baby, everybody just groans, like the bigger the baby, the worse it's going to be. But actual science shows that low birth weight is a sign of poor health in babies. So you don't want the low birth weight, and actually people who are healthy can have big babies just fine. So it's really all about health. And my biggest baby was 10 pounds, and I'm like 5 feet tall. So I had consistently larger babies, and it was fine. But I was really grateful for NeoLife, because the difference getting on to NeoLife with baby number 3, he was about 50 times easier. The birth was about 50 times easier. And then as I went on the pregnancies, Daniel was number 7, and that was the easiest pregnancy when I was 42, which I thought that is a remarkable testimony to NeoLife, as I kind of experimented around on myself all those years. So, and then also the omega-3s, when you're talking about the woman, say, who's just had a baby, I think postpartum depression is becoming a major problem. One of our friends back in Wisconsin, her daughter, let's see, she must be in her mid-20s. She's expecting baby number 3, 6 months along, and she killed herself. And I don't know if anybody knew that she was in that much trouble. And so I know our daughter Krista back there started telling people, if any of you ladies are having trouble like that, let me know. I think she would go give them salmon oil. So a study, I can't quote where it's from right now, but direct link between postpartum depression and omega-3s. So, and then of course, other brands, the warning labels on them are because of the toxins in them, because they don't have the same standards. Like there's an allowable amount of mercury you can have in a product. NeoLife doesn't allow any, so there's no warning label on our salmon oil. And so here, if you're trying to build a baby's brain, like our girls take salmon oil, especially if they know they're having a boy, because boys' brains need, I think it was like 4 times as much omega-3 as girls. I thought, wow, is that, why they have more ADD and ADHD? And so, and then some of these calm grandkids we've had people who never even seen the grandbabies before say, wow, that's the calmest baby I've ever seen. And they're not, they're totally normal little kids. They can get very rowdy and loud, but yes, very, very peaceful and calm. It's great for the moms. Also, I want to add on the other end of life, these two. Over the years, I have to do everything backwards. Over the years, I listened to all the older ladies because I started in NeoLife when I was 26. And what was happening when their cycles were shutting down, going into menopause. And these are the 2 things that I kept hearing about. And I thought, I wonder if I'm gonna have hot flashes and stuff. Sure enough, I started having one, and I took this, and maybe I took it in the Formula 4, which I don't have in here. It stopped it. I mean, it was like a half a hot flash. And so I made sure I kept up on the Trianin. And then I had another one another time, and I tried the vitamin E that time, and it stopped it. And I've never had anything since. So I'm just really, I think these are essential for female health all the way through. And let's see. I think that's it that I had to add. I just noticed Teresa put a message on that she started giving Sophia, who's 1-year-old, salmon oil directly, but I didn't see what else she said. So you guys can probably see it in the chat. So, and if anybody has, I don't know if you have time, Bob, but I'm glad to answer a few questions if you want me to. Unless I use up time.
Yeah, why don't they put it in the chat?
Okay.
Leslie, thank you very much. That was outstanding. And
welcome.
just one comment on the postpartum. My daughter says she has lots of girlfriends that will cry for weeks after the baby is born. It is very common. Jamie and I talked to a lady in Grants Pass that she's in touch with lots of pregnant moms through an organization. She said they all have postpartum. So my daughter said, Dad, I have 0 postpartum because she uses salmon oil through the pregnancy, and she stays on it actually for a year. The baby will get it through breast milk because the baby's brain continues to develop after birth for another year or 2. And so the more omega-3, the better. So it's possible to completely eliminate postpartum. Les, thank you so much. That was really good. Thank you very, very much, Leslie.
Okay.
Les is a fantastic product trainer, and there's child number 7 next to her there on the couch. We're so glad he's around. He is amazing and makes a massive contribution to our team. So Les, thanks to you and Wayne for having Daniel and Lisa and all the rest. Okay, now we're going to switch to Barbara. Barbara Chichester's Sapphire World Team. 10 out of the last 10 months, 10 out of 10, she's been over 10,000. Last 2 months, she's been over 14,000, and she's a very gifted leader. I'm just so impressed. She's a remarkable leader, and she's going to share a video with us and then some thoughts on mindset. So let's welcome World Team member Barbara Chichester.
Well, good morning. Thank you, Bob, and thank you everyone for being here. Everybody, when we want to tell our story, like me, and when you started, everybody went through the same thing. We want to tell the whole Bible. We want to give the whole story from the time you were conceived until even you die, but you're not dead yet, but you're still telling what the. So Ashley did one that I really like, Ashley Peebles, and it's how to package your story. So I will share that. Oops. Oh, I got perfect. Wow, good.
Said the main point is I'm so very glad to be back. We had an incredible vacation. Our family enjoyed 2 wonderful weeks in Europe after it being delayed for 2 years. But I'm so glad to be back with you all. Do know that it's going to take me the rest of the day to get caught up on the emails from all of you. I have not been ignoring you. I just have not had a chance to get back with you yet. So we are going to talk about packaging your story today. I agree with Stephen. I firmly believe that this is the number one thing that all of us can do immediately to make a difference in our business. It's something that you have complete and total control over. You know, we talk a lot about controlling the controllables. This is something that we control. We can't control who says yes. We can't control who picks up the phone, who reads the messages, but we can control packaging our story. And what we're looking for is we're looking to put together a packaged, powerful, professional story. Now, when I say professional, we don't want to lose the heart, but we also don't want to sound amateur, like we've never told our story before at all. So we're going to follow a really simple flow. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell who we are, where we were. That's kind of the first element, who you are. Are you a teacher? Have you been a teacher for the last 21 years? Where you were, that's the same category. I've been a teacher for 21 years. And as you know, like teachers are underpaid, hopefully overappreciated, but underpaid. And we are always wanting to vacation a little bit more, right? So we just told them who we were, who we are, and where we were. The second thing is you're going to tell them what you saw and what you did. So I'm a teacher for 21 years. As you know, we don't make a whole lot of money. And the thing that I love to do most in the world is travel, but we never had that extra income. When network marketing came into my life, I saw a way to make a couple $100 extra a month. And I knew that if I could do that, I could put that to the side and we could take more vacations as a family. So see who you are, where you were. Then you're going to tell them what you saw and what you did. So that's the second element. The third one is you're going to tell them how it changed you. Like, what was the solution that you found here within NeoLife? So I saw a way to put some extra money in our savings account so that we could take extra trips as a family. And since getting started, we've taken 2 extra vacations that would not have been possible without this opportunity coming into our life. And then at the end, you're going to wrap it all up with the most important part, and that's what you're most excited about, right? And what you're most excited about changes throughout your life. It changes week in and week out. One thing that I used to always tell our team to do is we would always laminate out our goals. We would laminate out our why. We would put it right in front of us on the refrigerator. And we would also laminate out our DMO, our daily method of operation. And sometimes it gets a little stale talking to people. It gets a little stale with your story. So one thing we did is we would always put the thing that we were most excited about at the top of that DMO each week so that I knew what I was excited about. I knew what I wanted to talk to people about, because if you're not excited about the summer sprint incentive and the t-shirts, that's probably not what you want to talk about. But maybe this week you're so excited about CalMag, right? Like maybe that's the thing that you were so excited about because it made a huge difference in your life. So whatever it is that you're most excited about, that is what you're going to want to talk about. You want to tell them what you're excited about. We've been able to take those 2 extra vacations as a family this year, and I'm looking forward to the next one that's going to be happening next month. So you want to package it together in a professional and powerful way. So here are just some tips. Stephen already said it. Stories sell, facts tell. But did you know that stories are remembered 22 times more than facts? That's huge. And I think sometimes when we get started in this industry and we find a company that we love and we find products that we love, that is all we want to talk about. We just want to talk about the products that we love and what they've done for us, the ingredients that they have in it. We want to talk about the company. We want to talk about the incredible people that founded the company. We want to talk about all of these things when in reality, the person that we're talking to just needs to hear a powerful package, compelling story that they can relate to, because the story that they're going to hear is going to allow them to have an emotional connection to you. You know, when you start off by saying who you are and where you were, that's their first chance to be able to emotionally connect to you, to emotionally connect to your story. So in order to tell a compelling story, sometimes we've got to work with someone else to be able to whittle it down and define the pieces of the story that are most important. You know, sometimes I say things and I think, oh, that was a really important thing that I just said, when in reality, you're never, ever going to remember it. So what I would suggest is if you're looking to package your story and you're looking to get it into the exact right place, find a partner, work together, and focus on truth and grace. Remember, if you give someone truth without grace, they can't hear you. If you give someone grace without truth, it won't change them. So when you're working with someone in their story, it's so important that you listen to what they say and then you give them real constructive truth and grace feedback. So here's the best way to do that. If I want to get my story right, I partner up with Stephen and I say, all right, Stephen, let's do this. Here's my story. I tell him everything. I dork it all up. It's terrible. And then Stephen just needs to tell me what he heard. Because at the end of the day, what someone hears is really all that matters, right? So he's going to pull out the important parts of the story. That's the quickest way to whittle your story down, is to tell it to someone and let them retell it to you. Let them tell you what they heard. If you feel like there's an important part that they left out, you can discuss that. And you can say, well, I really feel like it was an important part that I was at a barbecue and I was wearing purple pants and that I was just in line to get baked beans when someone introduced NeoLife to me. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter that you were in line to get baked beans. It doesn't matter that you had purple pants on. So here's the next tip. If it's not necessary to say, it's necessary not to say it. That is where partnering up with someone else is really going to help you. They're going to be able to push the things out of the way that don't add value, because our job in telling our story is to create that emotional connection. It's to tell a compelling story. And it's also to make sure that we don't lose them. So in doing that, there are a few things that you want to remember. You want to make sure that you keep it short and that you don't overtalk. The number one, I guess the number one problem that I see with people in their stories are it's just too long. If you can't package it down and get it under 90 seconds, we've got to start over. We've got to move things out of the way. We've got to make sure that when we say it's not necessary to say, it's necessary not to say it, that we're removing the extra information. So let's say you just weren't feeling well. You know, maybe you're saying you weren't performing at your best. That's pretty good. But if you dive in and you tell them every ailment that you had, well, I had a knee surgery this year, and then I was having headaches every day, and I was doing this, I was doing that. Not only do we cross into an area that we could be considered making medical claims, but we lose the person that we're talking to. So you want to make sure that we're, one, being compliant, but we're also being compelling. So compliant and compelling, they can go together in our stories because we don't want to add in all the extra ones. We want to make sure that we're using the inviting formula. Now, Nicole Blaine does an incredible training on the inviting formula. So if you have not heard it, make sure that you get there. We also want to do a more in-depth training and like a workshop on packaging your story. So I expect that to be coming in the fall. I think you guys are going to love it. And I've got a lot of longer tips and things that we really want to dive in with you. But for right now, remember the inviting formula and remember how to end your story. End with a question, end with something that can create a conversation between the two of you. I love it when Nicole says, if I will you. If I send you a link to our website, would you look at it? If I send you a link to join in on our Zoom meeting that we're having tonight, would you join us? If I invited you over to the house next week for our spa night party, would you join us? The if I will you, if I would you inviting formula is something that's super powerful because one, it lets them be in control, right? It lets them feel like let me say this. It lets them feel like they're in control where you are still maintaining control of the conversation. Because there's nothing more awkward than finishing your story without a question and just staring at the person, waiting for them to say, yes, send me your link. I want to order, because that rarely happens, right? So let's end with a question and end with the inviting formula. The next thing is you want to make sure that when you are packaging your story, that you have a way to tailor it to the person that you're talking to, because at the end of the day, they don't care really about you, which is terrible to say it that way, but they don't. They care what you can do for them. And they care what this company can do for them. They care about how it changed your life, but only in a sense that they would like for their life to change as well. You know, if we understand that everyone we talk to has a deficit or wants more in one of these 4 areas, either time, security, money, or health. So I'm going to say that again: time, security, money, or health. Everyone has a deficit in one of those areas, or they just want more in one of those areas. The beautiful thing about NeoLife is we can help with every single one of those. Not every company can say that. But if we can make sure that you can tailor your story and you can tweak it on the fly, if you meet someone in the elevator, if you do meet someone in line to get baked beans at a barbecue, that you can tweak your story to have to do with time, or you can tweak your story to have to do with more security, or you can tweak your story to have to do with money or have to do with health. You can make sure that you are appealing to the person that you're talking to. And it generally is just one sentence in there, right? The other thing that I see people run into quite often is they are very good at telling who they are and where they were. They're very good at telling what they saw and what they did, but they get hung up at the solution part, at the part where we tell them how it's changed you, at the solution. Every great story has a pain point or a conflict. You know, I was a teacher and I love to travel, but we didn't have the extra money to do that. That's your pain point. That's your conflict. And then you have to tell them how this was a solution. I was able to put a couple $100 extra a month into savings to take 2 more vacations this year. Conflict, pain point, and solution. But I see a lot of people, they get to the solution part and they don't think their solution is big enough. They don't think their story is big enough. They don't think they have anything compelling. I will tell you, every person listening has a story and you have a compelling story to tell. The other thing to remember is the big stories are not the ones that sell. The big stories are not the ones that we ever told. When we were making life-changing income, no one believed it. Like one time I told someone what we were making, they were like, yeah, right. I mean, when we were at our very first convention, Daniel heard people on stage talking about the amount of money they were making. He was like, there's no way they make that kind of money. No way. So understand that the most powerful stories I've ever shared are people that are making $250, $500, $1,000 a month. And once I realized that, I never shared a story again that was over $1,000 a month. It's not relatable. It doesn't seem genuine. It doesn't even seem believable at times, even though we all know that it is. So when you're sharing your story, it doesn't have to be about finances. It doesn't have to mean that you've paid off $100,000 worth of debt. It doesn't even have to mean that you've lost 100 pounds. It just has to be real, authentic, and relatable to you. And it has to be something that you're very excited about. But it could also just be that this company changed your outlook on life. It could be, ever since joining NeoLife, I am a happier person. I get up in the morning and I smile because I was on a call one day and Ashley told me to wake up in the morning and it's worth $10 million, right? So find what is real to you. Find what's exciting. Ask yourself why you got started in the first place. And then ask yourself why you're still doing it today. If you're listening to this call right now, why are you still doing it? Is it because it's paying you an extra $100 a month? Is it because you met all your best friends? Is it because you love looking at Steven's face? Whatever it is, share that with people, because at the end of the day, it's not going to be the big money stories that win people over. It's going to be you being relatable, you being authentic and genuine, because that is what's going to yield trust. And your passion, your energy, your excitement, your authenticity, that is more powerful than any huge success story. So just to recap, all right, if it's not necessary to say, don't say it. Keep it short and packaged. Don't overtalk because it's really about them. Want to make sure that we're using the inviting formula and that we end with a question. Make sure that you've got a pivot point in your story so that you can tailor it, whether we're talking about time or security or money or health. You want to make sure that you can pivot so that you're not talking to someone that feels like they have plenty of money, but they're lacking on time about how much money you've made because they're like, I don't need what you're selling, right? I don't need your solution. You want to make sure that you are showing them a solution that they need. And then last but not least, that it's a compelling story, that it's powerful, it's packaged, it's professional. And you can do this very simply by telling people where you were, what you saw, what you did, and what you're excited about. So like I said, we're going to do a big workshop later on. We're going to dive into this more, but hopefully this gives you enough to dive back in and repackage your story. If you haven't repackaged your story in a while, it's time. Our lives change, the world around us changes, our story changes. And if you've been telling the same story for years, it's probably coming across a little stale now. So you just want to make sure that we constantly tweak it, we constantly refine it. So from here, I want you to write it down. I want you to tell it to someone else and let them tell you what they heard. So write it down and then refine it with someone else. And then get real awkward and practice it in the mirror. No one likes doing that. But the truth is, if you think you look weird and sound weird in a mirror, then you're probably going to look weird and sound weird out there. And my number one rule, the number one rule for all of direct sales, all of network marketing for the peoples is don't be weird. And the only way that you cannot be weird is to practice this and get it to where it sounds like you. So I hope that helps, Stephen. I hope that's what you were looking for. Thank y'all so much.
Okay, I enjoyed that very much. This is about the 5th time I'm looking at it. So I'm going to move on because of time. I have 10 minutes now on mindset. So I want to share with you a book, The Magic of Thinking Big. You see how old it is? It has all this rusty stuff in it. That was extra thing that she said I didn't need to say because it's not relevant, right? So the chapter 1, believe you can succeed and you will. Success means many wonderful positive things. Success means personal prosperity, a fine home, vacations, travel, new things, financial security, giving your children maximum advantages. Success means winning admiration, leadership, being looked up by people in your business and social life. Success means freedom, freedom from worries, fears, frustrations, and failure. Success means self-respect, continually finding more real happiness and satisfaction from life, being able to do more for those who depend on you. Success means winning. Success and achievement is the goal of life. Every human being wants success. Everybody wants the best this life can deliver. Nobody enjoys crawling, living in mediocrity. No one likes feeling second class and feeling forced to go that way. Some of the most practical success building wisdom is found in that biblical quotation stating that faith can move mountains. Believe, really believe you can move a mountain, and you can. Not many people believe that they can move mountains, so as a result, not many people do. On some occasions, you probably heard someone say something like, it's nonsense to think you can make mountains move away just by saying mountain, move away. It's simply impossible. People who think this way have belief confused with wishful thinking. And true enough, you can't wish away a mountain. You can't wish yourself into an executive suite. Nor can you wish yourself into a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, or the high-income brackets. You can wish yourself into a position of leadership. But you can move a mountain with belief. You can win success by believing you can succeed. There is nothing magical nor mystical about the power of belief. Belief works this way. Belief, in quotation, I'm positive I can. attitude generates the power, skill, and energy needed to do. When you believe I can do it, the how to do it develops. Every day, all over the nation, young people start working in new jobs. Each of them wishes that somebody could enjoy the success that goes with each, reaching the top. But the majority of these young people simply don't have the belief that it takes to reach the top rungs, and they don't reach the top. Believing it's impossible to climb high, they do not discover the steps that lead to great heights. Their behavior remains that of the average person. But a small number of these people really believe they will succeed. They approach their work with the I'm going to the top attitude. And with substantial belief, they reach the top, believing they will succeed, and this is not impossible. These folks study and observe the behavior of senior executives. They learn how successful people approach problems and make decisions. They observe the attitudes of successful people. The how to do it always comes to the person who believes he can do it. And then it went on to say, most people do not put much stock in belief, but some, the residents of Successfulville, USA, do. Just a few weeks ago, a friend who is an official with the State Highway Department, and they were telling a story about how successful out of the engineer, 21 of them of the firm were asked to do a project in building something, and then only one agreed because the others felt the project was too difficult. So actually, in these modern times, belief is doing much bigger things than moving mountains. The most essential element, in fact, the essential element in our space exploration today is belief that the space can be mastered. Belief is great results in the driving force, the power behind all great books, plays, scientific discoveries. Belief in success is behind every successful business, church, and political organization. Belief in success is the one basic, absolute, essential ingredient in successful people. Believe, really believe you can succeed, and you will. Over the years, I've talked with many people who have failed in business ventures and in various careers. I've heard a lot of reasons and excuses for failure. Something especially significant unfolds as conversations with failures develop. In a casual sort of way, the failure drops a remark like, to tell the truth, I didn't think it would work. Or, I had my misgivings before I even started out. Or actually, I wasn't too surprised that it didn't work out. The okay, I'll give it a try, but I don't think it will work attitude produces failures. Disbelief is a negative power. When the mind disbelieves or doubts, the mind attracts the reason to support the belief. I like that part. Disbelief is negative. When the mind disbelieves or doubts, the mind attracts reason to support the belief. Doubt, disbelief, the subconscious will to fail, the not really wanting to succeed is responsible for most failures. Think doubt and fail, and think victory and succeed. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Barbara. Yeah, that's the thought life is a huge, huge thing. And Barbara and I got to hear Alan Blaine talk about that a little bit this week.
Yes.
That the mindset is just a massive, massive factor. So Barbara, thank you. And I had another person talk to me about this stuff yesterday about 2 days ago about Philippians 4:8, because that book you were reading out of referenced biblical thoughts. And there was another lady here talking about Philippians 4:8. You guys can look that up. It tells what we're supposed to put our mind on and how that impacts everything. So the mind game is we win or lose right here is what almost all the champions say. So thank you, Barbara, so much for sharing that content with us. We all need good mental content, good mental habits. So thank you, Barbara. Okay. So our next speaker has a little bit more on mindset. It's actually Barbara's brother, Brent. And Brent and his wife, Ramona, are executive managers in Canada, which means 2,000 in volume, 2,000 PV. He's very pleasant, very helpful. He's a positive team player. He's a valuable member of our team. So Brent, could you please share on mindset and personal development? And you guys, let's welcome Mr. Brent Chichester.
Hi, everybody. Thank you very much. Today, I'm going to share some info along the same lines as Barbara with your mindset. And I'm going to give you a little review on a book that I stumbled upon. Now, in my personal development story, travels, I came across this book called, not sure if you can see it here. Hang on one sec. Think and Grow Rich. And I put it on my library list, and I actually purchased the book, but it came to my interest. We have our weekly meetings on Zoom, and Barbara played a video with Jerry Brasfield, and he specifically mentioned that book about 3 or 4 times. So it got my interest, and it's a pretty interesting book. First of all, it's a personal development book, but it's also a manual. This is a how-to book, and it's very hands-on. It's not something you read and put away, something you read and reread and use like an exercise book. So I will try to go through the 5 key takeaways from the book. The first one is what you think matters. And it's going to tie into a lot of stuff that Barbara talked about earlier on. But thoughts are really, really important, that you control what you put in your mind. Thoughts are food for your brain. So if you eat, just like we were talking about earlier on the products, if you do not have superior nutrition in your body, you cannot function. If you don't have superior thoughts in your mind, you will not function in the same format. So, I mean, there's evidence all around the world where this has happened on either side of the scale. That's the first one. The second one is a burning desire. You have to have a burning desire to achieve the goal that you want. If you don't have, like Barbara is saying, you cannot try, you have to do. I think Star Wars Yoda has a quote: "Don't try, do." You know, you cannot approach a challenge in a half-witted form. You will not win the game. And within that category, there is 6 steps for transforming desire. The first one is you have to be specific as to what you want. You have to, and you have to be specific. You have to also want to give up. You have to give something in return. So whether it be your time or not doing a particular activity, it has to be a balancing act. So you have to buy something, but you have to pay for it. It's not free. You have to have a specific date by the time you want to achieve your goal. Number 4 is you have to create a plan and start now. And that's critical because it is very easy to procrastinate. And once you start that slippery slope, it doesn't get any better. So starting now is critical. You will make mistakes, but you tweak along the way as you go. Also, it should be a written statement as to what you want. So you have to be very clear, a written statement. And the reason for that is you have to, which is number 6, read it out twice daily, once in the morning and once in the afternoon. And I watched a few videos with Louis and Nicole and Alan, and they all practice the self-talk part of their training. So it's called auto-suggestion. So you just repeat your goal, what you want every day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, and that sets your mind up. Because your mind doesn't know any different. Whatever you put in there, it will process. So it sets your mind up to find these opportunities that will come your way, be able to extract them and to use them to your benefit. The third one is become an unstoppable force, which is, was mentioned earlier on. The quote is, a quitter never wins, a winner never quits. So if you want to succeed, you cannot let little excuses get in your way. And there's another quote here that I really love. Persistence is insurance against failure. So if you want to succeed, you've got to be persistent. You're not to say you won't have challenges, but the persistence part of it is really key to the whole thing. And the next one, number 4, is sexual energy, which I had to read a couple of times to figure out. But according to what the book is saying, there's 5, we as humans have 5, the 5 strongest stimulants that we have as humans is number 5, friendship, number 4, music, number 3, money, number 2, love, and the top desire that we all have within us is sex. And it's an energy that we all have. So they were saying that part of being the ability to convert that energy into creativity is where the magic happens. And the people that are able to do that are called geniuses. Apparently it's part of the formula for being a genius, but we all have the ability to do that because the energy is all within us. But if we could tap in that energy, we will have an abundance of energy to work with. And the fifth one is the 6 ghost of fears. And I think we all can relate to this. We all have a fear of, and he listed into 6 different categories because all of us have one of those 6 affect all of us, or all of us at some point. The fear of poverty, which is pretty self-explanatory. Nobody wants to live in poverty by choice. The fear of criticism, again, criticism is one of those things that if it's not in the right mindset, it can really destroy a person. And the other person that's telling you it might not be aware that they're creating such damage, but you have to be in the right mindset to handle criticism and to deal with it and put in the right box to handle it properly. The third one, which I found really interesting, is the fear of ill health. And it's mostly on the lines of do not use your health as an excuse to not achieve your goals. Some people try to use health issues. I can't do this because of whatever. The author said symptoms can be, all symptoms are deadly if you Google it. So if you focus on it, and you put a lot of energy into whatever that ailment is, that's where your time will be spent, and you will not have time to spend on your goals. And the fourth one is a loss of love, which is pretty self-evident. The other one is old age, which as we get older, we look at it as a negative sometimes, but it's actually a positive because now we know more and we could streamline our efforts a little bit better. Not that a younger person cannot do that, but most people don't, most young people do. And the other one is the fear of death, which is something we can't avoid. So it's no need to waste time on focus on it because you will get your turn at some point. So, we all have to face death. Just, don't spend your life worrying about death and forgetting to live because you only have one opportunity. And if you blow it, the game's over. So when death comes, you deal with it and handle it in an appropriate manner. But in the meantime, take the opportunity that we have and live our lives to the fullest. And those are the 5 big things that I took away from that book. It's like I said, it's more a manual than anything else. So if you were looking for something to read, I would highly recommend it, but approach it in the sense of a manual. So you go through it, you make notes, you try stuff, you tweak it, and constantly go back to that thing. Because if Jerry Brasfield does it, I bet you it's probably good for everybody else because he has a lot of knowledge and it didn't come by magic. It came by hard work. So Bob, I'll pass it back to you. And thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, Brent, that was absolutely outstanding. So thank you so much. That's very, very superb content. And I really enjoyed how you presented it too. So thank you so much, Brent.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay, well, we just have one last speaker. It's a 2-minute testimony. So she'll be able to put into practice what we heard from Ashley about keeping our story quite brief. This person is part of the New York, she's the big shot really in the New York team. She's the director in Barbara's team. She's a great recruiter. She is a people magnet. And she is a director. And is Allison still on? Let's see here. Allison, if you are, I'm going through the list here to see. Please come on. We're happy to hear your 2-minute story.
Hi everyone.
There she is.
Good afternoon from New York. This is Allison Wilson. So glad to be on the call today, just to share with the team and all those on the platform that God's Spare Life October is going to be 5 years since I was introduced to NeoLife by Claudette Lockerbie. And I always tell everyone that it was through divine intervention when Claudette looked at me during a visit and she said, Ali, you look tired. So as a nurse, I think, yeah, it was just normal to be tired. And she told me about these amazing products and she got me signed up, told me how I could get it 25% off, and I did. Like, what is $49? Let me just get on the program. Again, as I said, through divine intervention, I did have a health screening and I was diagnosed with abnormal blood glucose. I did have pre-diabetes, where the doctor wanted me to start on metformin. And she already also told me that the drug is going to help me with weight loss. The nurse in me says, no, just give me a chance. And what I did was to continue to take the breakfast pack and other products. I also did the detox. I wasn't consistent, but I began to feel different. God has his way that in the 3 months follow-up, I was able to reverse it. And I knew that there was something there that, you know, definitely aid my body back to a state of wellness. Ever since then, I'm very cautious. I pay attention to what I'm eating. I start exercising. I'm continuing on the weight loss journey. It is gradual, you know, from 216 pounds, I'm down to 188. I did have my screening done this year and the doctor's visit and with a cardiologist who looked at my labs and asked me, what are you taking? And I found the courage to tell him that I take these products, which are whole food and concentrated from. He said, what is that? I said, Pro Vitality. And I showed him a packet. He said, I don't care who make it. Let me see what's in it. So he was there with a nurse practitioner and he Googled it and he looked at the ingredients. And he said to me, keep doing what you're doing. I'll see you in 6 months. I want you to lose 10 pounds. So I got my job cut out for me. With all the excitement of being NeoLife and the wonders it has done for me and for all those I have shared with, on the 25th of June, I decided I'm going to celebrate my birthday wellness style. And I had over 120 people in my yard. Thank you for David, who drove across the border to support, you know, this event. We had the banners, we had the tasting of the shakes. We had display of the products, you know, 50 pounds of sand. You know, if you can see, they're all in the bottles. They're all sand, 50 pounds. And they were on the table. I'm continuing to get positive feedback from those many who attended. So now my goal is to follow up. I'm just grateful to God and I'm grateful for the team. And God's willing, keep dreaming big. And I want to thank you, Bob. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, team. Thanks to my husband and my family too, all who support me. God loves you. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. And Allison, your husband's coming with you to convention, is that correct?
Yeah, my husband will be with me.
Okay, very nice, very nice. So Allison has done 4,000 in volume many times. She has a great team and she does it in what we call the nooks and crannies. You know, she's a full-time medical professional, nursing field. So this is just a part-time thing where she reaches out to other people. And so thank you, Allison. She's making a big contribution and her own health, of course, is much better, as you heard. Okay. Well, our last item today is we're going to read the names of people who to do recognition and acknowledge the tremendous contribution of many people in the team. We don't want to be remiss in not acknowledging major contributions. So I'm just checking on one other thing here real quick before I get going. Okay. Okay, I think I have to send one quick text here. Sorry about this, you guys. Okay, we're going to start with our senior managers, and senior manager is 1,000 points is what that is. So of our senior managers, we're going in order. Sherry Reef was number 7 at 1,001 points. Marlene Schaefer, number 6 at 1,105. Cecile Joseph, who I believe is part of Allison's team, she did 1,444. Nancy Reese from Jamie's team, 1,528. Mara Herrera from Jamie's team, 1,665. PV, Barb and Rick Bird, number 2 of the senior managers, 1,820. So they were only 180 points shy of executive manager. They've been going up every month, you guys. Every month has been bigger. So hopefully this month they'll hit executive manager. And then in number 1 in Gina Ellis team, Leslie Hansen team, is Laura Kickbush with 1,917 points. So that is our senior managers. Now of our executive managers, in number 6 was Sigrid and Micah Simpson. Number 5, Kevin Cornelius with 2,000. Sigrid and Micah also had 2,000. Number 4, Alice Tornquist, 2007. Number 3, Mary Jean James, 2,106. Number 2, Brent and Ramona Chichester, 2,115. And then in number 1 from Jamie's team, Ginny Knowles in Grants Pass with 2,206 points. So those are our executive managers. Now of our directors, in number 17 is Allison Wilson with 4,000 points. Give Allison a hand. And then in number 16 is Jolene Cox with 4,012. And Jolene and her husband are going to be at convention. We're very excited about that. Number 15 is Janice Grange with 4,197. Number 14 is Lisa Hansen from Mexico. She's a brand new Sapphire World Team member. Her personal volume was 4,201. Let's give her a hand. In number 13 is Dean Vandenberg, 4,246. Number 12 is Jean Rudgear, 4,412. That's from Steffi's team. Number 11 is Donna Wheeler, 4,861, and she's also in Steffi's team. Then number 10 is Mark Ritchie from Iowa, 5,329 points. Number 9, Gina Ellis in Wisconsin, 5,953 points. Number 8 is Marilee Blomberg, 6,475. In number 7 is John and Debbie, who lead the Grants Pass team. They pioneered Grants Pass. They had personal volume 7,025. Give them a big hand. And then in number 6, and you guys, after this, we'll read World Team Sapphire volume, which is group volume. In number 6 for personal volume of our directors, Barbara Chichester, 10,028. You guys, that is a bonus check. Just the car allowance alone is $600. It's a very nice perk the company gives you when you're at that level. Then in number 5 for personal volume, Stephanie Beckett, 10,054. Very, very good. And in number 4 of the directors is Jamie and Carol Wilson with 10,307. Absolutely outstanding. Then in number 3, personal volume, Leslie Hansen, 12,665. That is a lot of volume. Then in number 2 is Victor Pearson with 20,648. That is a $1,000 car allowance, not counting the check at all. And then in number 1, he has a very good habit. He's number 1 every month, personal volume. Daniel's making an excellent living. Daniel Hansen with 22,999 points, you guys. Now, I'll point out Daniel owns 3 businesses. So I would call that extremely entrepreneurial mindset. And I asked him one day, hey, of the 3 businesses, which is the best? He said, NeoLife is the best. I happen to know he does just very, very well. So we're so blessed to have Daniel for so many reasons. He's an outstanding individual, very talented, smart guy. When you talk to him, he's amazing. And he does our YouTube channel. He's the one that puts does a bit of editing now and then, and puts the videos up there. So this will be up there. Daniel, would you say probably 2, 3, 4 days you'll have it up, or even a day sometimes?
Yeah, within a day or 2.
Okay.
This time I'll have it up because I'm at home, and the internet's good and it's gonna happen fast.
Yeah.
So not out
Yeah,
on the
okay.
road this week or this
Yeah.
month.
Okay, good. Yeah, sometimes Daniel's traveling. Daniel, you don't like to travel, is that right? But you have to sometimes. Is that right?
Yeah, it depends on the trip.
Daniel's been all over the world. So we thank him for his help with our team on this tech issue with our YouTube channel. Thank you, Daniel. And thank you for
absolutely.
the huge contribution you make to the team. Fantastic. Okay, now here's our team volume. These are exclusive elite world team members. And this month we had 7 world team. God really blessed us there this month. And number 6 is Barbara Chichester. And Barbara had 14,028 points. So let's give Barbara a big hand. That is outstanding. And number 5 is John and Debbie. John and Debbie, their group volume is 17,332. You guys, that is a tremendous contribution, I'm telling you. And then in number 4 is Stephanie Beckett with 19,327 points. Wow. Next is Lisa Hansen, 27,200 points. That she's a brand new world team. And you guys catch that. She's a stay-at-home mom, got 3 little kids. She can give attention to her family, which is just outstanding. Doesn't have to leave home to do work. And this is based on residual income, things, people she sponsored many years ago. So clear up to 27,200 this month. Give her another hand there. And next is her amazing, talented, wonderful mom. Leslie's a tremendous person. I think Leslie's got 2 huge strengths. She's excellent on product, but she's a very friendly, kind person as well. And Leslie had last month 45,818 points. So very, very good. In number 2 was Victor Pearson with 58,249. That's a lot of volume there. And then in number 1, she is a 3rd generation NeoLifer. She is now has her dad's team, because her dad got promoted to heaven about 2 years ago this month. And so Marilee Blomberg last month, hold on to your seats, you guys, 106,542 points. So give her a hand there. So, and every bit of that, just like Lisa's, is residual income. This is from work done many decades ago, but that is still going because some great leaders are in that team. Okay, you guys, well, we're so happy that each one of you could join us today. And we want to wish you a wonderful rest of the day. And our next session will be August 6th, our next team meeting. We meet every Wednesday, of course. And then at convention, Friday the 29th, we'll be meeting at 7:30. And I'll give you the address of the room that we'll be at in the hotel. And then we'll have product training today at 11. I gave you out that number earlier. So everybody, thank you so much for participating, for showing up, and thank you for all you guys do. You guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great day.
Bye. Goodbye.
Thank you, our speakers.
Thank you, Brett. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jeanette.
Bye.
Bye.
Ramona, thank you, Barbara.
Thank you. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Leslie and Marina.
Love you,
Excellent.
Raymond.
Excellent. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
Thanks for
Hi
having me.
there.
You did a great job, baby.
Yeah, excellent, Marina. Thank you so much. Very, very good, Marina. You're a good trainer. Excellent.
Really good.
People says good job.
Aw, that's sweet.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, yeah, that was excellent.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Now, who am I looking at up in there right now? Who is that good-looking thing named Irish up there?
Hey, Peepa, I love you.
Hi, sweetheart. How your world? How's your world today?
Full of amazing people. You see all these people?
I saw a bunch of people, lots of thousands were used, the words of thousands. Who's behind all that, little girl?
Bob.
I was ever so fortunate to be associated with these great people on here. Is that Nancy on there?